I watched from my reception desk as Peter Harrison strode through the glass doors of Harrison and Associates, trailing his usual wake of expensive colon and inflated eco. Another morning at Chicago's most prestigious architectural firm, where my Harvard architecture degree and sustainable design innovations were considered less valuable than my ability to manage his lunch reservations. "Messages, Emily?" he barked, barely glancing at me. Yes, Mr. Harrison, the Dubai Development Group, called again about their Eco Tower project. They're still waiting for updated designs. He waved dismissively. "Tell them we're exploring innovative concepts and get me coffee. The Indonesian blend, not that cheap stuff from the break room." My name is Emily Chen, and for the past 2 years, I've been living a double life in the architecture world, to Harrison and Associates. I'm just the overqualified receptionist who wastes time sketching buildings between answering phones. What they don't know is that I'm also EC Green, the mysterious architect whose sustainable designs are revolutionizing urban development across Asia and the Middle East. Not even Peter Harrison knows that the amateur sketches he regularly mocks are actually preliminary designs for projects worth billions, projects his firm keeps losing bids on, much to his growing frustration. It started when I graduated from Harvard, with honors and multiple awards for sustainable architecture. Peter Harrison had recruited me himself, promising mentorship and creative freedom. The reality was different. "Your ideas are too radical," he'd said, reviewing my portfolio. "Clients want proven concepts, not experimental green technology. Start as a receptionist, learn how real architecture firms work, and maybe in a few years." What Harrison didn't know was that I'd already sold my graduate thesis design, a revolutionary eco tower that generated its own energy through biomimetic engineering, to a development group in Singapore under the name EC Green. Of course, I took the receptionist position, not because I needed it. EC Green was already in high demand, but because I wanted to understand how firms like Harrison and Associates were failing to adapt to changing market demands. The growing call for sustainable architecture was reshaping the industry, but Harrison clung to his outdated, energy-hungry designs. The arrangement proved enlightening, though not in a way Harrison intended. I got to observe firsthand how the old guard of architecture resisted innovation. Even as clients increasingly demanded sustainable solutions, these green architects Harrison would scoff during meetings, designing buildings that look like trees. Pure gimmicks. Our clients want classic luxury. Meanwhile, my tree-inspired designs were winning international awards. EC Green became known for biomimetic architecture that didn't just minimize environmental impact, it actively improved its surroundings. My buildings generated energy, purified air, and created urban ecosystems. Harrison remained obsessed with discovering EC Green's identity, especially after losing the Dubai contract to my firm, 3 eco towers each worth over $150 million. And he couldn't understand why clients were choosing sustainable innovation over his classic luxury. It's a phase, he assured his partners. These eco-architects are trending now, but real estate development always returns to traditional values. But the trend didn't pass. More clients demanded sustainable designs. Harrison and Associates started losing major contracts. Only their reputation and existing relationships kept them afloat. Then came the project that would change everything. Sheikh Mohammed Al Rashid, one of the world's biggest real estate developers, announced a $5 billion development in Dubai. The centerpiece would be the world's most sustainable mixed-use complex. Harrison was convinced his firm would win the contract based on their reputation alone. He didn't even notice when I slipped away to Dubai for the family emergency. That was actually EC Green's project presentation. The Sheikh loved my design, a complex of interconnected buildings that function like a living coral reef, generating power through multiple renewable sources while creating a self-contained ecosystem. He bought it on the spot. Now, 2 weeks later, Sheikh Mohammed was visiting Chicago for a major architectural conference. Harrison had arranged a special showcase of the firm's innovative new direction in sustainable design, mostly surface-level green features, added to their standard layouts. What he didn't know was that the Sheikh had specifically requested a meeting with EC Green during his Chicago visit. In fact, he was about to announce a partnership that would reshape the future of urban development. I sat at my reception desk, watching Harrison prepare for the biggest presentation of his career. My resignation letter was already saved on my laptop. In my bag was the portfolio that would finally unite Emily Chen with EC Green. The Sheikh's car pulled up outside. Harrison straightened his tie, practiced his smile one last time, and walked to the door. Emily, hold all my calls. This meeting is about to change everything. He had no idea how right he was. Sheikh Mohammed Al-Rashid, enter Harrison and associates with his entourage of advisors and developers. I recognized his chief architect, Isef Rahman, who had worked with EC Green on the Dubai Towers. He caught my eye and quickly suppressed a smile. "Welcome, Your Excellency," Harrison gushed, leading them toward the conference room. "We're honored to show you our vision for sustainable architecture." I gathered my materials and quietly followed the group. Harrison was so focused on impressing the Sheikh that he didn't even notice me slipping into the back of the room. As you can see, Harrison began his presentation. "We've incorporated green elements into our signature luxury-style solar panels, recycled materials, even a small rooftop garden." The Sheikh's expression remained polite but unimpressed. He'd already seen true innovation in sustainable design. He owned 3 buildings full of it. "Very conventional," he said diplomatically. "However, I was hoping to meet someone else during my Chicago visit. Perhaps you know of EC Green?" Harrison's smile faltered slightly. "The eco-architect?" "Yes, we're familiar with their work. Rather experimental designs, in our opinion, experimental." The Sheikh raised an eyebrow. "The 3 towers they designed for us are already generating 120% of their own power needs. The excess energy powers 2,000 homes in surrounding neighborhoods. That seems quite practical to me." With all due respect, Harrison tried to recover. "Anyone can make a building look like a tree. Real architecture requires innovation." I stood up from my seat in the back. "Understanding of biomimetic engineering, advanced sustainable technologies." The room turned to stare at me. Harrison's face reamed, "Emily, this is a private meeting. Return to your desk immediately." "Actually," the Sheikh said, "I believe Ms. Chen has every right to be here, especially since she designed those towers we were just discussing." The silence was absolute. Harrison's mouth opened and closed without sound. I walked to the front of the room, pulling my portfolio from my bag. "Hello, Your Excellency. I apologize for the theatrics, but I believe it's time for EC Green to step out of the shadows. You, Harrison, finally managed impossible. You're a receptionist with a Harvard architecture degree, multiple international awards, and $3 billion towers in Dubai." I corrected him. "Would you like to see what I've been working on lately?" I connected my laptop to the projector. The screen filled with my latest designs, not just buildings, but entire urban ecosystems. Living architecture that didn't just minimize environmental impact, but actively improved it. These are the preliminary designs for the Sheikh's new development. I explained a complex that generates its own power, processes its own waste, produces food in vertical farms, and creates more clean air than a forest of equal size. The Sheikh nodded approvingly. "This is why we're announcing a $5 billion partnership with EC Green Architectural Innovation. Or should I say, with Emily Chen." Harrison collapsed into a chair. $5 billion. All this time, but I wasn't finished. I pulled up more files. Every design I created while sitting at that reception desk. Every innovation Harrison had dismissed as amateur sketches. "Remember this one?" I asked, displaying a residential complex. "You said it looked like a child's drawing. It just won the International Sustainable Architecture Award. And this office tower you called impractical. It's being built in Singapore, Tokyo, and London. Youssef Rahman stepped forward. We've been working with Miss Chin for 2 years. Her designs aren't just revolutionary, they're reshaping how we think about urban development. But why, Harrison stammered? Why work as a receptionist if you were already successful? Because I wanted to understand why firms like yours keep failing to adapt. I replied, I watched you lose contract after contract because you refused to see that the industry was changing. Your classic luxury approach is becoming obsolete while you mock the innovations that clients actually want. The Sheikh's team was already pulling out contracts. We should discuss the press announcement. His media director said the industry will be very interested in EC Green's true identity. Harrison suddenly straightened. Now wait a minute. She developed these designs while working here. The firm has rights. Actually, I cut and check my employment contract. I was hired as a receptionist, not an architect. Every design was created under EC Green, my independent firm. Your only connection to these projects is that you repeatedly rejected them. The next hour was a blur of contracts, congratulations and shocked expressions from Harrison's partners. The Sheikh's announcement would make international news, not just the $5 billion partnership, but the revelation of EC Green's identity. I saved my resignation letter for last handing it to Harrison with a small smile. Thank you for the opportunity to learn how not to run an architectural firm. It's been educational. The transformation was swift and comprehensive. EC Green, Architectural Innovation, opened its headquarters in Chicago with satellite offices in Dubai, Singapore, and London. We specialized in sustainable urban development, but more importantly, we focus on nurturing new talent. The reception area of our office, it's a design studio where junior architects can work on innovative concepts. Harrison's old corner office became an environmental engineering lab. Every employee from cleaning staff to senior architects is encouraged to contribute ideas. 6 months later, we launched an incubator program for sustainable architecture startups. Our first project redesigning Harrison and Associates, building into a zero-emission structure. They became our tenants after downsizing. Turns out losing the Dubai contract was just the beginning of their decline. Last week, a young architect came for an interview. Brilliant ideas, great technical skills, but no connections in the industry. A traditional firm would have offered her a receptionist position. We hired her as a project leader instead. Sometimes I told her the best designs come from people the industry underestimates. Never let anyone define your role or limit your vision. The architecture world is changing faster than ever. Sustainability isn't just a trend, it's a necessity. Our projects are proving that environmental responsibility and profitability can coexist, that innovation comes from unexpected places, and that sometimes the best way to change an industry is to let them underestimate you until the perfect moment. My old reception desk sits in our office's heritage display next to the first set of Dubai Tower designs. Under it, there's a plaque that reads, "Every revolution starts with someone willing to imagine something different." Sometimes that someone is answering phones and dreaming of changing the world. The Sheikh remains our biggest supporter, not just as a client, but as a partner in pushing the boundaries of sustainable architecture. He often tells people his favourite part of our story. We didn't just build better buildings, we built a better way of thinking about what buildings could be. As for Harrison, he teaches part-time at a local college, telling students about the good old days of architecture. I heard he finally added a course on sustainable design. Progress comes in many forms, I suppose. Every morning, I walk through our living building, past walls that purify air through gardens that feed hundreds under solar arrays that power thousands of homes. And I smile, remembering those days at the reception desk, quietly designing the future, while others assumed I was just doodling. Because sometimes the most powerful statement isn't the one you shout from the rooftops. It's the one you build floor by floor until it touches the sky.